Hi everyone, this is Renee from Meadowlark Mystic. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to be going over some more of my deck modifications. And the decks I'm going to be featuring today are the Chrysalis Tarot, the Triple Goddess Tarot, and then the Mystic Meg. It's also called the Tarot Pack. Lena from Fire of Transformation asked me to maybe feature some more of the modifications that I've done, so I thought I would do that real quick. So, I know that I've talked about this deck before on my channel, but I just wanted to quickly go through some of the cards that I think it really made a difference to add to them. So this is the Chrysalis Tarot, and I have trimmed it, and I have also edged it in this kind of purple color. The artwork in this deck is really beautiful, but I found that sometimes it kind of got muddled with this brown, and a lot of the browns just kind of were everywhere sometimes. So with this card, I went back in and I highlighted the berries here, 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 and there, just to kind of differentiate it a little bit more. This card I added to a lot. And, you know, again, like this might like ruin the card for you. You might definitely not want to do this. But I needed to add some more color to this striking tower card. So I colored the skulls and I colored her fingernails, and I used this Sharpie for this deck. This is a good cardstock but slippery. This is a beautiful Empress card, but I found it too brown, and so I went back in and I added a lot of green, dark green and light green, orange, and a lot of depth of purple magenta to the flowers. So I think it made a big difference on that card. This card was a little too just all blue, and so I went back and added a lot of green to the bottom of it, to the seaweed and the leaves. This is a beautiful, really amazing rendering of Mott Justice, but I felt like some of it got lost, and so I went back and highlighted, you know, some of the more beautiful aspects. Same with this, highlighted the plants and the leaves and the tendrils. I highlighted his spirals. I've shown this deck quite a bit, but I really do think it makes a difference. So this is the King of Stones, which is an important card for me, and I felt like it was just a little too brown, so I actually went back and I colored his entire cloak green. And if you look really close, you can see my thumbprint right there. It's my thumb. Because when you color with these Sharpie markers, when you do long or large areas, you'll get stripes or you'll get dots, and you have to go back in and take those out. But I obviously took that one out a little too much because it left my thumbprint. I added a lot of green to this card. I added green to his yoke of his outfit because I felt like there's a sense of adventure but also kind of growth that I wanted to and I added really a lot of orange to the fire. I really love this deck, but I think that sometimes the art needed a little more pop. And I featured it a lot on my channel. The other deck, or the next deck that I want to talk about is the Mystic Meg or the Tarot Pack. I added a lot of color to this deck because I felt like it just needed more. So in this star card, I added to the water at the top. And another thing I did was I gave all of the figures pupils. So the figures in this deck do not have pupils, and that could work for you, but I didn't like that. So I went back in and I added pupils to the figures. This deck, this card I added a lot of red, dark red, to kind of the skirt, and then a lot of blue. Oh, actually, if you look close, you can see this is the one card I didn't add pupils to because I felt like there was an eye at the top. So this angel didn't need pupils. I added, obviously, her pupil. And I added all the dark that you see on all those little yods. I added that. And I did give this face a pupil, and I gave the dogs pupils. Yeah, this one I added a lot to his headdress, to the like the Pegasus at the bottom. I wanted to kind of differentiate them more. And to his wrist, kind of his wristband. Let's see, I think that's it. I really like this deck a lot. I think it's beautiful. Lena and I were talking about it. It is a little pixelated, like you can see in the wings. It's not printed quite clear and crisp, but I don't really care. You know, her pupils. Let's see, I gave the dog a pupil. Oh, I guess, I can't tell. I think maybe this guy did have pupils. That's all I added to this card. To this card, yeah, just pupils, I think. Oh, this card I added quite a bit too. I added to the stork, and I added a lot to the scarf, and to the ox, and the flowers, and the tails. I added a lot. You know, this one might have been good to keep without pupils, but I gave pupils anyway. I added color to there and the headdress. Not too much color here, just a lot of pupils. Pupils. Definitely some pupils and also some orange. Sorry, I'm looking sometimes down and sometimes in the view of my camera. So, oops. I trimmed this deck. It had borders around it, which I didn't think looked that bad. I added red to this card. Yeah, anyway. So I added a lot to this High Priestess. I wanted her more kind of moody. I really wished her hair had been dark. Not blonde, but anyway. I didn't add anything. Although this is an interesting card. Lena and I were talking about it, and she said in the book it said that how you're kind of connected to people like in an umbilical kind of way. I thought that was interesting. I added to his headdress, his eyes, I added here. I just can't seem to not add to the Magician index. I just gave her pupils. Pupils. The star and some pupils. Pupils. I added a lot to this Hanged Man for self-sacrifice. I wanted the orange, so this was just this orange color, and then I made it darker orange and then into the purple. And I put that, I don't know why I stopped right there, but anyway. Yeah, so. You know, I add to decks in order to get closer to them. So I added a lot of water to this. Not a lot of water. A lot of blue here, a lot of green. I made this the person's outfit kind of rainbow, and then the wings rainbow. Yeah, I added a lot to this one. Yeah, so I think we're almost done. Oh yeah, so I made his hair purple. I think his hair was blonde. Yeah, so I was like, okay, it's enough of the blonde. I added all this red to the bottom of the snake. I don't have a problem with blonde. I don't usually think of my majors with blonde hair. But she has blonde hair, but it's all right. I added those dots and added here, gave her pupils. I think that's it. Okay, so that was the Mystic Meg, and I double-edged this deck. I've never done that before, and I'm never going to do it again. So I had edged it in kind of a turquoise color, which you can see on those, and I didn't like it, and so then I went over it in purple. And what's weird is now my purple Sharpie comes out magenta, so it no longer comes out purple, which is strange. The other deck, and the last deck I'm going to do, is the Triple Goddess. So this is the original size of the cards, and the purple one is how much I trimmed them. So a substantial amount. This is it's Triple Goddess, but it's not a tarot deck. I think it has 26 majors. And so I added quite a bit to some of the cards, but not all of them. So I added quite a bit to this one. The deep reds you see, I didn't add anything to this one. I added to this bird. I added to the flower she's holding, and I put a star in the sky. I didn't add anything. I didn't add anything. This is so pretty. I didn't add anything to this. Didn't add anything to this one either. The guidebook to this, I think it's really good. It talks about goddesses and archetypes, and I use it actually in conjunction with the Goddess Oracle. I added a lot to this card. I added a lot of all the red and orange you see. I added a lot to this one, Awakened Aphrodite, all the rainbow colors. This flower, colored it rainbow, and then this going up. Yeah, the rainbow was not there. I didn't add anything. You know, I don't really know why sometimes I feel compelled to added that. And sometimes I don't. It's just kind of what strikes me. Again, this is the Triple Goddess. I added to the deep reds all in here and the butterflies. A lot of green added to this card. And her spiral hair and her hands touching the earth. Didn't add anything to this. This reminds me of the, what's that name of it? Kuan Yin? Wild Kuan Yin? Because she looks like she's kind of floating. I didn't add anything to that. I didn't add anything to this one either. I love this. The 4. It's kind of like the Emperor. I really love that. I added a lot to this card. There wasn't a lot of color. I didn't add anything to this. A lot. So the newest thing I've done with this deck is I trimmed it. So it used to be like the size I showed you before, and now it's, you know, it's quite small. And then these are the chakra cards that come with it. Oops. And I added some to these. I didn't really want to trim this. I needed to add some pink to the heart chakra and some purple, darker purple to the crown chakra, orange to the solar plexus, darker indigo to the throat chakra, some green up there, and orange to the flower for the sacral and the root. I added green and green to the turtle. Okay, so those are some more of my deck modifications. Some decks I modify, some decks I don't. I used to trim a lot of decks, but I find that I'm just too lazy to do that now. And also I like to riffle shuffle, and I'm not that good at trimming. I do edge some decks still, but, and I did go back and recolor the borders of the Halloween tarot and make them black, and it turned out fabulous, but that was super tedious. Okay, so that'll do it for me. I hope you're doing well. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.